Is that a map? Why, yes, it is. Now, we have the Byzantines, right? Christian. Visigoths, Christian. Christian. Ireland up here, Christian. This was just invaded. This was a Christian land that was invaded by the Angles, the Saxons, and the Jutes. Over here, not Christian yet, but definitely Christian up here. Um, this was Monophysite Christianity. This was pagan up until its last king, which was a Nestorian Christianity. And then you had the Sassanid Empire, but they had Nestorian Christians living in their empire. It's just they didn't like the Chalcedonian or the Monophysite Christians. And then, of course, Ethiopia, Axum, which also stretched over to here. I should have made it a little bit lower. That was Christian. And the most Christian, holiest of Christian places and the biggest Christian places were, of course, Egypt, Syria, Anatolia, North Africa, Greece, and then there was a backwater city. I don't know if you ever heard of it, called Rome. But within 100 years, you had Islam stretching from the Pyrenees around Tours, where Charles Martel had to fight 3 battles. Its empire spanned here all the way over to here, and it was encroaching up into Anatolia. At the same time, you had the Khazarian state start up here. And guess who resisted? Ethiopia was the only ancient kingdom to still exist. And its last king, the last true Orthodox king, was Haile Selassie, also known as Ras Teferi. The last Eastern Orthodox king, not Oriental Orthodox, but the last Eastern Orthodox king was Tsar Nicholas of Russia. But the Ethiopians, they were an ancient people. So, yeah, those evil crusades that happened in 1096, they came from, basically the French and the English, but there were Germans and Poles and whatnot, came through here to reconquer the land and to protect Christian pilgrims, because pilgrims were not military people. They were going on pilgrimage to visit a holy site. And what sparked this, what the straw that broke the camel's back, because, the Muslims had taken all of this, which was Christian, and the 3 of the 5 holy sees, Alexandria, Jerusalem, and Antioch. But the straw that broke the camel's back was the destruction of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the holiest place, holiest shrine within the Christian world, or within the entire world to the Christians, and the slaughtering of all the Christians in Jerusalem, and Christian pilgrims on their way to Jerusalem. So that kicked it off. So from the 7th century until the very end of the 11th, 400 years, non-stop conquest, destruction of civilizations, enslavement, genocide, and a very mild response, just capturing a little bit of this. What's now part of modern day Libya and not Libya, sorry, Lebanon and Israel. And it was held on to for, what, 100 years? And that's it. But the Muslims still, wound up in 1452 destroying the last remnant of the Byzantine Empire, taking Constantinople, and then proceeded to go up and attack Vienna in the 17th century. It's extremely aggressive. But thank God you had the Reconquista, which was another crusade to take back the Christian peninsula of the Iberian Peninsula, although I know a professor that'll freak out if I call it the Iberian. It's the Hispanic Peninsula. Okay, the Hispanic Peninsula. But they should have gone all the way and liberated, This is Cyrene, by the way. Simon of Cyrene, that's Cyrene. So yeah. What happened to the Persians? Well, they're no more, right? I mean, we call it Iran right now, but the Sassanids were Zoroastrian. Zoroastrians were wiped out. It was because of the Muslims, because you could allow the Christian and the Jew to live, and the Mandaean, but you could not allow the Zoroastrian to live. Same with the Manichaeans. The last Manichaean died out in China in around the 1600s. So that's that story. But the Lakhmids and the Ghassanids. And if you take what the Lakhmids and the Ghassanids believed and mixed it with a group of people here called the Rahmanites, who called God Al-Rahman and Al-Rahim, and in the language, the Syro-Aramaic language, the name for God was Allah, and they only believed in one God, and they tended to carve living rock into cubes. Kind of get the sense that Islam, or what gets called Islam today, or a form of it, was being practiced long, long before Muhammad came around. If he existed, I contend that Abu al-Qasim existed, but much of that's a different story. But yeah, so the Crusades, remember, Christian, not imposed by force either. That only happened when Charlemagne kind of had enough with the ruthless Germanic tribes who would slaughter men, women, and children, and actually gave them a chance, be baptized or you're going to die. And he established something called the Holy Roman Empire, which had nothing to do with, it wasn't Roman, it wasn't really an empire, it was just Germans that were never part of the Roman Empire. And not to mention the Roman Empire already existed over here. All right, peace to you. We call it the Byzantine, but they wouldn't have used that name at that time. It was the Eastern Roman Empire, or just the Roman Empire.